Hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to my channel, Ask Jimmy Smith. Today, I'm excited to be coming back to you with another video, basically second in my series on repricers. Now, my first video for repricers, I gave you the 4 that I recommend the most. There's tons of them out there, too many to keep track of, honestly. And I've looked at more than just those 4. I've looked at, 6 to 10 of them over the lifetime of me selling on Amazon. But the 4 that are out there that I recommended were Aura, Profit Protector Pro, Be Cool, and Inform.co. And I'll put a link so that you can see that video, in this, somewhere in this video here, you'll have that video linked to it. If you'd like to see my overview of the 4, why I suggest that you have a repricer, all of that kind of stuff. But in this video and in further videos, I'm going to be doing breakdowns of the 2 main repricers that I recommend. And I might actually add in some more as we go along, but this first one is going to be on Aura. So I've actually got a link for you. It is an affiliate link. You don't have to use it at all. I'm going to put that link in the description, but it is bit.ly/replens with an S, Go Aura, Replens Go Aura. And so that link will be in the description for you. It is an affiliate link, but I really believe in Aura as a repricer. It's one of my favorites. Obviously, I've got 2 main ones that I recommend. In the future, as new features come out in different companies, I may recommend more, but this video is going to be just serving basically to show you an overview of what it looks like when you get inside of the repricer for Aura, how much they cost, all of that kind of stuff at the time of this recording in March of 2022 anyway. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. I just want to show you their website so you can kind of see some of the basic features, and then I'll bring you into their actual dashboard and how this all works and what it looks like. So let me share my screen. Okay, so as you can see, you'll see this little red notice because I'm logged into the demo account that I have and I haven't connected to Marketplace. Obviously don't want to share all of the listings and stuff that we sell on, but so this red thing won't be there for you whenever you show up to look at their website. But I've got my link up there that you can see, bit.ly/replens Go Aura. But the reason that I love this repricer is because out of all the repricers I've seen, this is the only one out of all of them that I haven't heard a complaint at all on. Typically, I'll hear a complaint like, okay, this thing didn't work for me or whatever it was. This one I haven't heard a complaint on. I know people that have switched to Aura and loved it. I've known people that switched from Aura just because they didn't want to pay for it anymore. They wanted to try out a different one, whatever it is. But I never heard anybody say, I don't like Aura because of X, Y, or Z. And so that's very comforting for me. With it, obviously, you can get a free trial, which is what I'm using to do this video anyway. And you can see they do connect to Inventory Lab and Inventory Source if you want to integrate your cost and your supplier information to come into Aura, which is a really nice feature. And then they've got a bunch of different information on their website about the strategies and how you can pinpoint competitors and key metrics, etc. But for the pricing, I wanted to show you that. So Aura currently, again, this is March 2022, whenever I'm doing this, if you pay annually, you get $20 off annually. So that's at $77 per month is what it essentially comes out to. But if you pay monthly, it's $97 per month. What I love about it is it's a very simple pricing plan. It's like, hey, you get up to 50,000 listings, you get these marketplaces supported, and you get pretty much all of the strategies, in these core plans as well. Now, there are fully automated AI strategies, which are going to be coming soon at the time, again, of this recording. But right now, you get up to 50,000 listings. There are a lot of repricers out there that will reprice based off of, or charge you based off of the listings. And for me, it's nice to say, okay, cool. It's $97 a month, no matter how big I get. I know of a repricer, for instance, that charges you like $30 to start, but then as you get over $2,000 a month in sales, it's up over $100. So it's really nice to have some confidence in what the pricing is going to be with Aura. And considering they are so good, they do have AI powered repricing. So anyway, you guys can check this out on your own. You've got the link below. Let's check out the dashboard. So you can see I've got the trial on right now, and Aura was kind enough to allow me to make this video for you as well. I did reach out to them. So if anybody has questions about that, I did ask them if I could do this. And yeah, I wanted to show you what an account looks like. Once you get in here, what is this thing like? Now, first and foremost, I want to point this out. down here, this little bubble is really nice because that's where you can contact support. And Aura support is amazing. It's always been the #1 customer support from what I've heard from other sellers, that they get amazingly fast responses. They're very helpful as well. But I wanted to point this out because that is an important button. As somebody who owns a software company, contacting the support can be essential in making sure that you utilize the software properly moving forward. So whenever you get onto the dashboard, since I don't have a marketplace connected because I don't have a second account or anything to connect it to, this is where you'll see your sales though. So it'll show you the sales over the last 30 days, revenue, profit, etc. This is all the basic information. What I do like is it shows your pricing changes over a certain period of time. So if it's really nice just to see how many different pricing changes are happening. Because for me, I like to make sure that the repricer is working. You like to make sure that it's actually repricing consistently and regularly. So you can see that for, whatever time period you'd like. And then they give you a bunch of different information, right? If you're at your minimum price, well, you can click on that to see only your listings at the minimum price. If you're at your maximum price, you can click on this little button. If I had any connected, you could see all the ones at the maximum price. So you can see all of that information, which is nice. And then you can go check them out. Like if you're at your minimum price, this is one that I typically use quite heavily in our repricer because I want to see, okay, if I'm at my minimum price, am I like way off from the buy box? Are there other competing sellers that are only 2 cents lower than me that maybe I could lower my minimum price to match? So that is a really nice feature to be able to see that up front. Same with the buy box ownership. I know that this little graph is coming soon, but you can see, your listings from buy box eligible, winner, ineligible, and out of buy box. So you can ultimately see how well that your listings are performing with the repricer. Now, if you click over here, you'll see the listings, obviously. And once that would be connected, you could see all the different information. It's really nice to see all of that. Additionally, profit, it will show either margin, or if you click this little button, it'll switch it to ROI. I personally like to see the ROI, but not everybody's the same as me there. So I highly recommend just playing around with that. You can, reset the filters and, move things around as well. So it's pretty nice to be able to see that. And then your strategies. Now, this is where most people probably care the most about from a repricing standpoint. Whenever you click create strategy, you're going to end up wanting to click on the Amazon side if that's what you're connecting your marketplace to. Now, whenever you do that, they've got some AI ones that are coming soon, but they also have some pre-configured ones like buy box targeting, which is essentially just always going after the buy box, featured merchants, which is only competing with featured merchants, and then lowest price, which is competing with the lowest priced total offer on the whole listing. So you could be competing with the lowest merchant fulfilled price as well. So you can see it says regardless of fulfillment type. It's nice that it does have the description so you can see what you want. Personally, what we've always done with our repricer is we use custom strategies, which I've given in the book and I've given in my course as well. So if you don't know any of that, you can go to AskJimmySmith.com to see that stuff. But that's where I give our custom strategies. And this is what I would set up. So I typically don't like the pre-configured ones because I like to have a little bit more control, but I would set up my custom strategy using this. Click continue, and then you can change it to how you want the competition. So typically for us, we would choose lowest FBA, then the buy box. We don't want to compete against the lowest overall. We want to look at the lowest fulfilled by Amazon seller and then the buy box after that. And then you can go through and select what settings that you want. It's very nice to have this. Most of these settings are fairly good to start off with. And so I do, I recommend that you get familiar with these things. But again, the repricing settings, if you have any questions about how to set them up, you can post that below. If you want me to do a separate video on that, let me know. Currently, I've just got it with the book and the course that I did. So anyway, as you go through this, you set up your competition below. And then how do you want to price against your competition? Do you want to price below? Well, if you're selling replens or arbitrage at all, you don't want to price below your competition. You want to price either match price or price above by a penny or two or a certain percentage. So you can change it by dollar amount or percentage here. If you wanted to always be, maybe 2% higher, you can do that. We personally will match the buy box price because we're competing against FBA sellers and then the buy box only. Now, I do know sellers, though, that do very well and will price above by 2% or, a few pennies here or there. You can also price differently against prime sellers. We have that disabled, and you can price differently against Amazon. So let's say if you wanted to price against a merchant fulfilled seller in a certain way, differently than an FBA seller. Well, in this case, with pricing against the competition, if you want to price above a merchant fulfilled seller, by, let's just say 3%. I want to be 3% higher than a merchant fulfilled seller. But I do want to, at that point, then price differently against FBA and prime sellers. I could click enable and you could say, okay, I want to match that price. So if it's a merchant fulfilled seller, that's my direct competition because they have the buy box, then I'm going to price it 3% higher. But if it is an FBA seller, then you want to price differently and match the price, or maybe you're only pricing above by 1% or a penny or two, whatever your desire is. And then if you want to price differently against Amazon, you can, if you're ever competing with Amazon on listings, you can enable that. And you can say, hey, you know what? I want to price below Amazon by 3%. So if for whatever reason, you're on a listing and it's fulfilled by merchant as your competition, you're going to be 3% higher than that FBM seller, or in this case anyway. If you're competing against FBA or seller fulfilled prime sellers, you're going to match the price. And if you're ever competing against Amazon, we're going to price below by 3% because we know Amazon's a little aggressive. I'm not saying these are my suggestions for you. I'm just saying that this is what you could do to make it much more tailored to suit whatever needs you have. Maybe you just want for everyone to be, I want to match the price against my competition, no matter who it is. Well, you can do that, in which case you'd leave these disabled. So it's very important to make sure that you go through these, figure out the settings that you like. Personally, we do reprice above FBM by a few percentage points. We will match the price with FBA. And yes, we don't really compete against Amazon often, but whenever we do, we'll typically put it at 3% below, because we found, for whatever reason, in our experience, that Amazon a lot of times won't match that price and we'll get the buy box a little bit faster. But again, that's only if Keepa allows. We're very tight on our minimums as well, so we don't allow a huge race to the bottom. So it's going to be different for every seller, and I recommend that you check that out as well. Now, when there's no competition, it's interesting that you can customize the price. So you can do current price, whatever you want. You want to take off a couple pennies or add a couple pennies. When there's no competition, most people will just select use max price. It'll go up to their highest price, but some people don't want to do that. So you can also tell it, hey, don't reprice. We just want it to stay at the current price that it's at whenever there's no competition. So a lot of options here for customizing. And the reason, again, that I like to customize is because if I trust the AI side of things, I've been burned in the past on artificial intelligence repricers. Doesn't mean that was 2 years ago. So the artificial intelligence is much better, and Aura doesn't have theirs out yet. So I have no experience with how that looks or how that's going to work. Now, whenever your competition's below your minimum price, well, that means that you aren't going to be able to get to the buy box because your minimum essentially they're lower than that. So you can either use the minimum price, you can ignore the competition, which is interesting to me, or you can use your max price or not reprice. We select use the minimum price just because that makes sense, right? If somebody's at $10 and our minimum price is at 11, well, I don't want to reprice it up to our max price of 15. I want to have it at $11 at our minimum price, so that as sellers sell out, we get that buy box at that point. When the competition matches your minimum price, this one is also interesting. You could ignore the competition, do not reprice, but again, if they're matching our minimum, we're typically going to use our minimum as well. And then whenever the price reaches your minimum price, you can have it stay there as well. I think this is an interesting one because I don't know anybody that says to reprice it up to your max, but it's worth trying. If you want to try to reset repricers, essentially, if the price reaches your minimum and you bring it back up to your max, it's an interesting strategy. I've never tested it out though. And then whenever you're out of stock, use max price if you want to do that. We do not do that, but if you wanted to, you could do that as well. So essentially here, whenever you're in the buy box, what do you want to do? You can raise the price. So if you want to, hey, I've got the buy box, let's raise it by a penny or two here or there, so that maybe we can add some more profit in. We personally always select to do not reprice when we're in the buy box because we want to try to keep it as long as possible. And so that's our personal preference. Again, everyone will be different there. That's how you set up a manual strategy within Aura. Additionally, they're going to ask how you want the minimum and maximum pricing done. And in this case, you can enter your own, which is what we select to do. And I'll tell you why in a second, but you can have your minimums and maximums automatically calculated based on ROI. So if you selected this option, it's going to give you like an example. So let's say we wanted a minimum ROI for all of our listings at 30% and a maximum ROI of 200%. Well, you can see that's a pretty big min and max. You can also do it with profit margin. So in the minimum profit margin, let's say we wanted 10% and the maximum profit margin would be, let's just say 50%. It's basically however you want to set it up, you can, and it will automatically do that. Since it connects to Inventory Lab, it pulls in your costs. It will automatically add your minimums and maximums. So you don't even have to worry about it. It essentially is on autopilot at that point. And then you can also do a fixed amount of minimum profit or maximum profit. I wouldn't typically use this one just because it can get really wonky, so to speak, especially with replenishable products. But we choose to enter our own. And the reason is, let's say we're looking at ROI, and if a product costs $1, well, if you have a minimum ROI of 30% on that product, well, that means you're only making 30 cents. And additionally, let's say that you're typically making 200% on that. You spend $1, you make $2, and it's a replenishable product. Well, if that's typically what it's making and your minimum's at 30% and some rogue seller comes in with 2 and drops the price, well, then you're going to be losing out on profit for that product. Additionally, if you put a maximum of 200%, but let's say there are items out there that you're buying for $1 and you can sell and make $4 profit. Well, then you're making a big mistake by having a maximum ROI of this amount. Now you could say, well, why don't I just make it a really ridiculous amount and say 1,000%? Well, then you're going to get high pricing errors. You're going to get a bunch of issues. So for us, we enter our own min and maximum by uploads. And again, I cover that in the book and in the course as well, which are linked below. But we typically would do, our minimum would be $1 less than our current price, and our maximum is $4 more than our current price, because we look at Keepa, we do a lot of training, we make sure that we ultimately have our pricing set how we want it before we send it in. And since we know Keepa is very stable for the products that we're selecting, we want to make sure that that minimum and that maximum are pretty tight as well, so we don't get pricing errors and all of that kind of stuff. So you can review your strategy, make sure it looks good, name your strategy whatever you want, and then you've got one. And I'm just going to call it example 1. So just so we could take a look at it. Now we've got that strategy listed. Awesome. And the next really cool thing with Aura is that you can do some workflows, and they've got some great options for what you can do with workflows. Whenever you click into here, you can click on documentation up in the top there, and it will show you what you can do with them. They can get a little complicated. If you'd like me to do a video on them, let me know. But what's really cool, like if a new listing comes in from Inventory Lab, I can pull in that new listing, and then it can assign a strategy. So I can go really deep on these. I'm just going to give you a high level overview. If you click on new listing and click add action, you can say for all the new listings, I want to make sure that repricing is turned on. So every new listing that comes in, I want repricing to be turned on. So add that action. And not only turn on repricing, but I want it to set to a strategy. Now, if you had multiple strategies, then this is where you can get really complex with these workflows. But since I only have the one strategy, I could say every new listing that comes in, I want it to be added to that strategy and repricing turned on. So it's very powerful. What you can do with that, if you really wanted to, if you had multiple strategies, they give documentation on how to do that. And it's pretty simple, but you have to make sure that it's set up properly. You can't just willy-nilly put these things together. Again, this is where this nice little bubble comes in for help and support. You could say, hey, I'm trying to set up a strategy that does this. Can you help me to do that? Now, if I go back, you can also do things by time of day. So there are multiple people that I know of that will say, okay, every day of the week at, I'm going to say 11 o'clock. So this is 23, it's in military time at 23:55. So 11:55 p.m., I want to have something happen. And I'm going to trash these since we're doing on a new workflow. At 11:55 p.m., I want to pause my repricing for all of my products for not 2 hours. Let's just say it's 30 minutes. I want to do this for 30 minutes. And instead of using my max price, I want to customize the price. So I want to set my current price up by, let's go dollar value. I want to raise all my prices by $2 at 11:55 p.m. every night for 30 minutes. And then it'll restart the repricing. The reason you do this is that there are listings that can become stagnant. They can, maybe they're stuck at that maximum price or at that minimum price, and they're just not moving at all and not getting repriced. And Amazon likes to see some movement. They like to see that you're actually trying to stay on top of your listings. So every night you can have your repricer set all of your products up by $2 or $1 or 50 cents or a certain percentage, maybe, hey, raise it 10% and see what happens during the night. Now, you might not sell as much during that time period, but it might actually start to regenerate some of those things. It can also trigger other repricers that are competing differently to raise their prices as well. So there's a lot of really cool things that you can do with this. Again, the workflows feature can pretty much automate everything, especially if you use the automatic ROIs and profits for the mins and maxes. But since we do manual, it's gonna, there's a couple extra steps for us, but ultimately you can use the documentation and see some great information on how to do this. What I like to see, if you're talking about adding all those new listings, you can set up different strategies, maybe a merchant fulfilled one, so you can exclude all of these different things. I'm not going to show you exactly how to set it, but essentially with a filter block would be how you would do this. And you could filter it by marketplace. If there were different marketplaces, you could filter by strategy. So if you wanted to ultimately have specific strategies on there, and then you can filter by the SKU. So let's say the SKU contains the word Kohl's in it because you buy all your products. So maybe all your Kohl's products has a Kohl's strategy. I know it gets a little confusing, but it's really cool. And if you want me to go deeper into some of these workflows, let me know, because I think that this is a really powerful feature of Aura. Additionally, there's a lot of stuff over here. You can look at the pricing activity. You can see all the information for how much pricing activity there was historically on your listings. They do have reports that you can see the lowest and buy box prices. You can download reports as well. And then you can do uploads. So this is where we would do our minimum and maximums. We would upload a list of all the minimums and maximums for our products. And that's what I still do to this day in our business. And so for us, this is where we do it. And that's how we do it. It takes me 5 minutes to do that. So it's pretty simple. This is where you connect your marketplaces. And if you have multiple marketplaces, you can do that. And then integrations. This is where you would tie in Inventory Lab. If you utilize Inventory Lab, or Inventory Source, if you utilize that. Now, if you tie in Inventory Lab, basically, I believe it's once a day, it will send over all the new costs and all the new suppliers for your products. So if costs are changing and you make that change in Inventory Lab, it will send it over to your repricer so that your repricer is as accurate as possible for you. And then they also have preferred partners down here as well. So yeah, other than that, we get into the settings. So that is the general overview of what Aura looks like. Again, I did not want to get super deep into the weeds on this one. I wanted to give you an overview. Now, Aura, as I mentioned earlier, is one of my favorite repricers because of the longevity, because the pricing for the value that you get is amazing, and also because I've seen zero complaints from anyone that's used it. Now, I will be doing more videos, repricer videos in this series of videos on YouTube, where I'm going to break down other repricers as well. But Aura is one of my preferred ones, not just because I'm an affiliate. I got an affiliate because I like them so much. And so I highly recommend checking that out at bit.ly/replensgo Aura. Also the links in the description if you want to use that. Otherwise, just look them up. You don't have to use the affiliate. Don't really care. So I appreciate you watching this video. If you have any questions, if you'd like me to cover anything much further, much deeper on Aura, please let me know. I would love to do that. I want to make sure that I'm covering things on these videos that you want to see and questions that you need answered. So please post those in the comments below. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. It helps me to know that I'm doing a good job. And as of the time of this, we're coming up real close on 1,000 subscribers. So thank you so much for those of you that have been subscribing. It really does motivate me to be able to see that, the content I'm putting out, I'm spending time on, is helping you. And yeah, really appreciate it. So if you need anything from me, you can head over to my website, AskJimmySmith.com. I hope that you have a good rest of your day and a blessed rest of your week.